Should we need a mic? Unless I start singing. Everyone just evacuates the building. Like, is everyone good? Everyone survived the evening? The 2 evenings? Yes. You guys are all very well behaved.
Start much later.
Yeah. The wind down period.
When it's got the doors, you can escape.
Yeah, party on. This time, last time I was here, I don't know how many of you guys have met before, but I don't know if I told you the story. They offered us to go on the Sky Tower, and they said, we'll take you around, and it's a bit of fun. And I went, no, thanks. And my husband was with me at the time, well, fiance, and he was in the green room. He's like, come on, do it. So we went and did it, and I don't know, is this what you guys do for fun? So we do tourists. Holy buckets! That was insane. I've never experienced anything like that ever. I'm trying to think if anything compares to it. But the first time we went, and you know that when you get up there, the guys muck around with you, and right before they push you off, they're like, oh, the Caribbean is not, not secure. You're like, ah! And they drop you, and you're just floating in front of the viewing deck, crying, going, ah. And then just as you get your business together, they end up flooring you the rest of the way. Oh, what fun I've had in Auckland! But then we got down to the bottom, and they said, you can go again if you want. I went, and they said, well, and Jamie said, yes. And they said, well, we won't let him go again unless you go again. So we went again, and this time I got to go backwards, and that was cool. Like, I can do stunts and stuff in a rescue. They threw me off all sorts of towers and buildings and goodness knows what, but that was pretty high. But if I've got something solid in front of me to look at, I feel a lot more secure. If you're just like looking into no man's land, it's like, run away! So have you guys got any questions for me?
No, I was speaking to you just earlier, and you said you've got an
Stupid NDAs.
I got an audition for a new project, and if I get it, I get to go to Los Angeles like on Monday night, I think so. And if not, it's meant to be. So whatever's meant to be is meant to be. It's hard not to get attached though.
Not even a hint?
Not even a hint. Shave me up first.
Doing 50 Shades of Grey.
But I had to, last week I auditioned for the Bell Shakes Company, so that could be cool. That's next year if it happens, for a Moliere play called Tattoo. And my brother and I have actually started a production company, so we're called Little Empire Productions, and it's we make short films. We want to make feature films. We're devising a skit show, and we also make music videos and stuff because he was on The Voice, last season of The Voice, and so he's got a little bit of a. We got up to the first round of the live auditions. He's wearing like a red shirt. He kind of has a bit of a Mick Jagger look about him, but when he was a baby.
I remember seeing you
falling.
Yeah, he's really good.
It's so bad. Like, usually my sister is the one that's like, ugh. And then because I've been living with Jake for the year before, and he actually, what you do, it's like a year-long process. You enter your tape on YouTube, and it's a private link or whatever. You send them through a link, and then they send you through. You have to wait for quite some time. Then you get invited to, you might even have to do 2 video links. After that, you go in and you start competing with hundreds and hundreds, and over a year, they finally get you down to the small amount that actually goes for the live auditions. So even to get to that stage, you'd already competed against so many people, so it was so huge. And he didn't tell us like the first few auditions, and he'd get us spunky and everything at home. I'm like, oi, where are you going? And he's like, nowhere. I'm trying to sneak out. I'm like, what are you hiding from me? Typical actress sister, just overreacting on everything. And he eventually said, I've made it through to The Voice, and I want you to come be my support person. I said, really? Oh, really? Okay, cool. Because last time he had Mum and my other sister, because he went for X Factor as well, and he said that was a disastrous combination. So I was like, all right, I'm in. And then my older sister is usually the weepy one. And I was, because I'd seen him and he'd practice and practice and practice, he sang that Pete Murray song, Beautiful, this is beautiful. Good sport person. But yeah, so by the time that he didn't get through, we started off on it and he was super, super nervous. We got there at 6 in the morning and then we didn't get on until 6 p.m. at night. So the whole night they're interviewing you and you're doing the red carpet thing and it's really funny, like it's all shot completely out of sequence. It's so funny, like we were watching all the people walk in and because it's reality television, they want you to amp it up. The stars would walk in and the support people would be behind them. So, you know, they're like checking it out and they're like, no, we really want you to amp it up. So people are walking in like, have you ever walk into a room like that? So we did all these ridiculous takes. They're like, listen, and Jake had to tell my sister and I to calm down because we were having a bit too much fun. Like we kept me kicked off and I'm not even up to my audition yet. But yeah, any questions? All right, see ya. I scared you all.
If there was a Farscape season 5, is there something that you wanted to do with
I'd
Chiana?
love to do it.
No, I know, but
Hurry up!
is there anything that you want to see for Chiana?
Oh, I would just be happy to be on Moya again and playing with the crew. There's such a beautiful family. It's so rare to be on a show that's such a long running period, and also to work with such amazing people. Like we would literally get picked up almost at 4 or 5 a.m. every single morning, 5 days a week, and we'd be on set with these people till 6, 7, 8 p.m. at night for like 4 or 5 years. So you just grow so tightly together, like they're your family, and you live this make-believe world with them, and then you also live the offset world with them, and it's really a bizarre transformation when you've got to kind of let it all go when it's over. And it's like school, you go, oh yeah, we'll hang out, we'll all be, you know, mates, and everyone then, you know, you've got your families and you've got your life and you've got other auditions and other projects, so it's hard to keep in contact with everyone. Like I saw Anthony at Dragon Con and that was the first time I'd seen him for years, like 8 years maybe. And he's like, hey, I'm like, hey. It's so weird because you've lived so many lives with them, it's kind of awkward. Yeah, so I would just adore to be a part of that production again. And also, the Jim Henson show, Brian Henson would come to set, shoot with us. We became such great friends, all of us, and that was something very magical too, because my whole life I'd grown up loving The Dark Crystal, loving Labyrinth, and watching every Muppet movie that was ever invented. So all of a sudden to be invited to become part of that family was just mind-blowing. And I think that's why Chiana, I felt so free just to be so crazy and wild, because I just went, I want to create a Henson character that's on par with all these other amazing characters that I've seen before, and not shy away from that. Because right before my Mum, I told you not to call me here. Like, you're late for dinner. Before the what's she saying? It's like the Snoopy voice.
Should we just take a moment?
Yes. I can't remember what I was talking about anyway. Before the audition, not the audition, before, in the audition process, they gave me a couple of episodes because it wasn't airing on Australian TV. And I kind of got a gist for it. Because when you audition, they tell you very little because it's very confidential, so you only get, they sort of drip feed you into it. And then I saw a couple of episodes and I was just blown away. To tell you the truth, I wasn't a big sci-fi fanatic before Farscape, just because I hadn't found, I was more into Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and phantasmagorical stuff and princesses and fairies rather than the sci-fi and aliens, although Mum had said, you may have heard the story before, because I did get a large amount of my life got brought up on a hippie commune, and we had Deepak Chopra and Robert Morningsky, who's a Hopi Indian, and this guy who channels aliens. His name is Bashar. And when I got the audition, I called up Mum and I said, Dad, audition for an alien. And she's like, you said, go, you're going to get it. Because, pardon me, no youngins? Yay! Oh, sorry. You're going to get it because you've grown up with aliens your whole life. And I went, awesome. So,
Did you reach that through your audition?
huh?
Did you reach that through your audition? I'm used to aliens, I grew up with them.
I didn't. I was so nervous I could barely speak. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I know that she's an alien and I know she's probably from another planet. And will she be, like, you know, what do you want? And they go, I just want to see if you can act. Okay. So, something happened. Maybe they just looked at me when she's so crazy. She must have grown up with aliens. Hi, babe.
How long does it take you to put all your makeup on for the environment?
3.5 hours every day. Totally. And it was funny because in the early days, they didn't, like, it was just myself and one makeup artist. Because first of all, they just thought my character was going to stay for one episode. So they created this phenomenal look. And then the producers were like, oh, she's a bit of all right. Yeah, we'll keep her on for a little bit, see, you know, how it changes the chemistry with the other cast. And then so it was sort of the whole of season 1, right to the end, I was sort of just, I would find out I was in the next episode by getting a script handed to me, and I'm like, oh, that's not for me, that must be for someone else. They're like, pretty sure it's got your name on it. I'm like, oh, and I look in it, and then there'd be Chiana lines. I'm like, oh. So I think they developed this great look, and the makeup department put so much energy into it. I don't know whether they were expecting that they'd have to withhold, like keep that up over however many years. But at the beginning stage, it was just me and one makeup artist in the room. Virginia, we shared a big room, and then once it started to get a bit more, we got our own rooms, just because the hours were so long and we spent so much time in the makeup room. It was like literally just, you know, a box kind of thing. And then it was funny, one day I'm sitting in my room, I'm like chat to the makeup artist, and these guys come in, they start putting up a TV. I'm like, why are they putting up a TV? That's really weird. Oh, all right, like this, and the makeup artist like, please put the TV up. So she stopped speaking. Because I had like a captive audience for like 3.5 hours. And then when I was 3, she's like, what? Everyone shut up. Yeah, so it was a very cool little character to play.
So I'm interested in your early career, coming from a theatrical family as such. Was it preordained that you would be becoming an actor?
I just didn't. I've never fit in. I've never known what I wanted to do. I was not in the cool girls group. I was not in the outcast group. I've always been a bit of a solo fly, and I just didn't know. I'm not very good. I mean, you guys I could speak to because I know that you've seen the show and you love the work and you're supportive and stuff, but I get quite intimidated. So I just didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, and I find that when I'm playing a character or a different story, that's where I become brave, and I feel like just like it's a nice place to exist. And so I think like when I graduated, it was like I just still didn't know what I wanted to do, and it's terribly intense when you're in year 12. And I went to a private girls' school, and everyone knew what they wanted to do. From year 6 onwards, they wanted to be doctors, or they wanted to be lawyers, or they wanted, you know, they've got this high caliber of life that they live up to. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was looking into psychology, and then I was looking into acting because I was going quite well in drama. And Dad said, look, why not just for fun, you audition for some schools and just see what happens. And I don't think any of us thought I'd get in. And I auditioned for NIDA, and they said, we love you, but you're too young, come back in a year. And then I auditioned for QT, and it was the same kind of setup as NIDA, a Queensland-based university. And you do like 4 or 5 hours of acting every afternoon, you graduated with a Bachelor of Arts, you do sword fighting, boys were yoga, blah, 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 blah. And then we had this crazy American teacher that came in and he taught us method acting. And that was really crazy because the few years before, students would kind of compete against each other, but that now that we had a method actor, we were the first year that they taught us about diving into that dark place within you, or the happy place, and drawing on personal emotions and things that really affected you, so that you can put that into your acting. So that was one of the techniques that we studied quite heavily. So all our course, bless you, grew really close together because we'd all shared so much with each other. And it was hard because then they started, because they wanted to be a competitive university and they wanted the NIDA curriculum, sooner or later they wanted to sort of push people out of the course. And when the first person that went out of the course, we all signed a letter saying, bring them back, otherwise war leave. We're usually, like the years before, going, this is ridiculous. Usually when someone leaves, it's kind of better because you're a bit more elite and whatever. So that was kind of interesting. So I told Dad, we had to audition, I think, with amongst a huge amount of people. I think 12 of us got in, and I think 7 of us graduated. So first gig was Paradise. I don't know if you guys had that here. It was pretty bad. And I had to wear a bikini. I was like 15. I was freaking out, and then you go on set and I'd won a date with the main guy or something, or one of the guys, and I had to go, yeah, I won the date with Brad. That was it. And I'm like, I won the date with Brad. I won the date with Brad. Brad, I won, oh, nothing. Oh, no. You know, the whole thing is ridiculous. So I go on, I had no idea what I was doing, and I do it once, and they're like, great, okay, all right, moving on, like, thank God. And go to walk off set, and they're like, where are you going? We're going to do the close-up, the mid-shot, the extremely wide shot. It's like, okay. So I've kind of just learned as I've gone along. Even in university, they didn't teach us anything about film and television. They taught us news reading, and that was it. And even then, the boys would pick on the girls because they'd make the news thing go really fast, the teleprompter go really fast, and really fast, and that was our serious camera work. So then in university, we had a casting director to come in, because different people would come and talk to us, like Rachel Griffiths came in way back when, a few different actors and people who were in the industry. And Susie Maisel said, I'm casting a mini-series called Day of the Roses, and can you and you come in and audition for it, just as like teeny tiny roles. So we did, and then they said, oh, you're kind of interesting, do you want to stick around and read again? And I was thinking, okay, this is what was planned, and I thought, all right, yeah, read. So I kind of thought that maybe I was reading for another actor. It didn't quite go through my head that they were sort of popping me up through the system. So I had the script, and it was like a girl who actually is still alive today, who got trapped in a train for many, many hours, and she could only use a certain amount of her legs, but she used to be a ballerina, and she couldn't dance and she couldn't barely walk. And the scene was really overwritten and really not great, like very dramatic, and I'll dance again, I'll show you all, I don't need your rotten crutches. And I'm like, whoever has to do this is in trouble. And then I got in the room, and I'm kind of like, oh, you like, so like, well, do you want to stand in front of the camera? I'm like, yes. So just kind of felt my way through it, and went, okay, I need to dive down deep to get something really good for this one, because obviously this is huge. And so I nailed it and got that little role, and that was with Jeremy Sims, Rebecca Gibney, Peter O'Brien. And I had the best time, because these are people that I've grown up watching and loving my whole life, and all of a sudden I was stuck in a train and Jeremy Sims was in my crutch trying to get me out, and I'm like, hi Jeremy, nice to meet you. It's splattered with blood and the whole thing. And they said, we're going on lunch, you right, come on out. I said, no, just want to stay in here and prepare. And they're like, no, to get out of the train. It's lunchtime, you have to have a break, it's law. I'm like, okay. Ridiculous. And after that, at Farscape, water rats and Farscape, pretty much right then. And then Beastmaster and Lost World, they were crackers. And then Stingers and Secret Life, and then a couple of little bits and bobs, and then that's when I went overseas for about 3 years and did a couple of crazy sci-fi films, which was really cool, and worked on my own projects and stuff. Yeah. Oh, and then Back for Rescue and Tricky. Tricky Business. The first time I read the script was really powerful, really edgy. It was almost like an underbelly, and they were throwing the gong, Wollongong, a bit rough. And this character was so good. She was flawed. She was a single mum just trying to get to the end of the day. Loved her family, loved her daughter, but she made some pretty big mistakes in life, and that was good to watch because that's how we are, or how I, the character I would connect with. So anyway, so then as we went rehearsal and audition, everything else, auditioning other people, and as we got the family together, it started morphing into a more soapy kind of, more packed to the rafters kind of, which is totally fine as well, but it's like, oh,
No, I like
yeah, a little bit. But then I've always been a bit dark and weird, and Mum and Dad go, oh, I wish you were on the clouds. You would have had it sus if you're on the clouds. Oh, wow. He's very super intelligent, really knows what he wants out of the scene. And yeah, he's definitely exciting and very always challenging, but in a good way. If that makes any sense. Like he's not an actor that's going to rock up and go, yeah, whatever. He's thought it through and studied it through, and he'll push anyone in his way to where he wants them to be within the scene, which is really good and really refreshing. And now he's on that huge show. Yeah. Huge. But I turned it on the other day and I was watching it and I'm like trying to get into it, but I'm just like, oh, there you go. Look at you.
Is it true that was a world champion in the cyclist?
Yeah.
And so you have been right around?
Yeah, totally. It's ridiculous. We met in Venice Beach, wasn't looking for love, was in LA just to be in work mode. Walked into a bar in like saloon doors and saw this band, beautiful and tall, and I went, oh my god, and the doors came back and smacked my gut, and I'm like, well, that's a veterans. Ran to the bar to quickly heal my wounds and had sculled a couple of glasses of Chardonnay and got up the nerve to go and ask him if he wanted a seat because he was getting pushed over by all these people because he had a broken foot. And I said, oh, can I get you a chair? And he said, yeah, that'd be really nice. And I said, okay, and if I find another chair, can I come and sit down next to you? And he goes, okay. So I'm a stalker lady, I'm like pushing people off chairs. So anyway, so we chatted and he said, I said, how did you hurt yourself? He said, I fell off my unicycle. And I went on one load of nonsense, probably some LA boy making up some silly LA story. And I said, well, if you can do circus tricks, that's kind of funny because I grew up with circus. And I can do all sorts of things like trapeze and fire twirling. And then he thought I was making fun. And then at the end of the conversation, he sort of handed me a card, as you do in LA, and it had Uni Pro Show on it with a picture of a unicycle. I went, oh my gosh. And then I had to go overseas to work on Sci-fi, a feature for Sci-fi. So we kind of had this nice texting thing back and forward. And then on our first date, we went down the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, and there's all these performers there. And there was a Russian guy with his son doing these amazing tricks. So we just sort of sat and watched, and at the end I said, you're fantastic, whereabouts are you from? My dad, no. Somehow we got on to, he brought up Dad. He goes, oh, well, many years ago, a great man called Michael Edgley brought me to Australia, the Moscow Circus. And I was like, that's my dad. And then Jamie slowly getting the I was like, what? And then Jamie goes, oh, you're a very lucky man who, hang out with a girl. I'm like, good work. What chips are going in the jar? He goes, what do you do? And Jamie goes, oh, I ride the 12-foot unicycle down at Huntington Beach. He goes, I've seen you. I love your work. So it all sort of randomly started fitting into place. And then, funnily enough, went out to dinner, saw a few more street performers, and then he said, I'm not really ready to go home with you. I said, not really. And he said, my friend is having a get together, do you want to go and check it out? It's just up the road. I went, sure. So we got there, I pulled out my fire sticks from the car and he pulled out his unicycle. And then we rock up at the door and that guy's like a bit tipsy and they're like, holy crap. How do you guys hook up? You know? It's ridiculous. And the travelling parties. So he was a mechanical engineer. I think I told some of you guys yesterday, and he graduated and worked for Metatronics, I think, in Minnesota. And he's extremely creative, really, really smart Virgo, so he's really, and he just didn't think that it would be like that. He thought he'd be creating huge, amazing things, and just something he'd be a bit more passionate about. Went to LA, did a bit of soul searching, saw a street performer, saw how much money they made. He goes, what am I doing sitting in a crappy office under fluorescent light behind a computer when I could be out next to the beach, spreading love and entertaining people and earning triple? Because if you see a good street performer, they make a good chunk if you can get the right pitch and you don't have too many people you're competing with. And so he's always loved unicycling. He built a 12-foot unicycle for his graduation. He's from mechanical engineering. And he'd bring it out for the odd fair and stuff. So he juggles, does magic, jumps over a kid on a small unicycle, does tricks on the small one, and then the grand finale is the big one. But his main passion is mountain unicycling, so going all around the world and competing with people that do what you do on a mountain bike but on one wheel. It's insane. It's like, I don't know. And then of course, the only time I could ever hang out with him is like if I learned how to unicycle. So he'd wake me up in the morning and he's like, do you want a cappuccino? I'm like a dog. I'm like, yes. He goes, all right, you really want it? I'm like, yes. As if, thank you, deliver it to my bed. He's like, all right, let's go ride the unicycle up to the shop. I'm like, no. That wasn't the plan. So every day, took me probably a year. Because we did it on and off to get the cappuccino. Oh, yeah! Very sore everywhere. But every day for the first month we were pretty good. And it still took a while. And pretty much over about a year, then I felt confident by myself cruising around. It's really good exercise, helps maintain your core. It's almost like a meditation because you kind of got to be in the right position just to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're just like it. And now we play unicycle hockey. That's scary because most of the guys, and they're like so gung ho. And they're coming at speed and they're watching the ball, and I'm like, I got it, and then they're like flying through. I'm like, but we do that Mondays and Wednesdays down at the basketball courts down near the northern beaches. So that's a bit of fun, and it's a really nice community because you have kids that are learning there. Some of them are as young as 5 or 6, and you have people as old as 60 or more, and it's just a really nice community together, because now in life there's not that many rituals anymore. We're so busy on our emails and our Facebook and our Twitter and our Google and our whatever that there's not a lot for me personally in my life that you can just get out and enjoy other people full stop without alcohol and everything else involved, or a business deal or whatever. So yeah, it's a nice energy to have. But he was about to do the Highland Fling this weekend and he got sick, and that's like a 5-hour, I think it's about 5 hours for a normal mountain bike. Last time he did it in 9. And they were packing up the finish line stuff. I'm like, please don't pack it up, please, please, please. I know he's coming. They're like, look, we waited like 3 hours extra. Everyone has come through. I'm like, no, there's one more person. He's like, come on, babe, come on. He's amazing.
Thanks for that, Gigi. So,
Hi. First of all, you're a very, very beautiful woman, especially in the dress you have today and yesterday. And I would like to ask, on Farscape, was there any scene that took like so long you just got really irritated by the end of it? Like someone kept screwing up a line, you just like.
Means what he
Oh, wow. What was he saying about
Tomorrow, so you might as well make some up now.
To be honest, like, it's such a cool set. The people are really cool. The writing's pretty cool. Not very often. Oh, I can say, I get frustrated when people come up here and every now and then, someone pops up just because they've got a really like or whatever. There was some circumstances where people in the Clockwork Nabari thing, there was one character in particular, and I wrote their names, that was just over it. I don't think the makeup was working for him. He was quite frustrated with it and stuff. So halfway through, like, we did all his close up, and it was all going really well. And I fully put everything into it, whether the camera's on me or off me, to make sure we get the right emotion from the person, so the stakes are high enough. So the camera turns around and we've finished all his stuff and it's behind his head so you can't see him, but it's on me. He's like picking off his makeup, pulling out of contact, scratching his worm, like this. I was like, really? You prick! But then it actually worked for the scene because I had to be really angry, so maybe it was like a really clever tactic on his part to run with that story. But all in all, not too bad. Another fun time was I don't know if you guys remember the keeper, when we had to go through.
Taking the stone. Taking the stone?
Not taking the stone, it was the one with
the dead Budon.
Yes,
Home and the
the
Remains.
Budon.
Home and the Remains.
Yes, Home and the Remains, thank you. And I had an eating scene with a character, and it was couscous that they dyed green, I think. So anyway, so we did, and I think I was really hungry in the scene from memory, and I was sort of shoving it all in, and then we had to end the scene because it was Friday. We usually don't do overtime on Friday. And I'm pretty certain that the same couscous was there on Monday when we started the scene. I was like shoving it in like all over the character. So she was probably a little upset at me at that point. I'm like, I've never ever eaten couscous again. No matter what colour it is, I look at it, I'm like,
On the flip side of that question, is there any times when any of the cast were intentionally screwing up the scene? For example, maybe they wanted to get more kisses.
No, let's see. Ant is just naughty all round. And he would do, we'd do his close-up. And a lot of time when he was being the captain of the ship and stuff, and we'd all have to listen to him. So he'd be all, Dargo-esque and be proud and, strong and captain-like. And then we'd all be, so the camera's behind our heads looking at him. Then the camera would turn around, because on the back of his head, he would just say the naughtiest, rudest obscenities, and we're all sitting there trying to act like, and if you don't know the stuff that comes out of this man's mouth. Anyway, moving on. But I love the wire work. All the time I'd try and get another take out. I'm like, I don't know if that one was a good one. Oh, yeah, maybe we should go again. They're like, okay, I think that's enough. 52 times is enough. One more time, we'll be fine.
Feels pretty far away, Chris.
Do you want to do any of your own sci-fi with your production company?
I did do a short film called Nobody Knows, and then what happens is when you put it into the festival circuit, you're meant to see what comes of it. So I only entered it in this year because I had some, at the end of it, I went to breastfeed and I went to Tricky, so it kind of got put on the back burner. So once that's out, and it's about one of my experiences that I had, or I've exaggerated it a bit, but it's based on experience that I've had in Farscape, and it's about a sci-fi starlet kind of character, but she's American. She's completely like an airhead. She's beautiful, those kind of characters. And she's preparing for a scene, and it all kind of goes a bit pear-shaped. It's only a short film, but I'll put it on my Twitter and my Facebook and everything when it comes out. But I like sci-fi because you can explore so many areas that are taboo on Earth, and you can really push it to the edge when you're out in space because you're allowed to. You're an alien. You can be in the naughty.
Nobody dies.
No, it's keep coming back. Yeah. Which is when there was that episode where I'm burnt alive. And I'm reading through and you're tired and you're trying to learn the lines and you're washing your jobs for the next day and you're on 3 hours sleep because it's Thursday and you're just trying to catch up with life and you're looking at it and it goes, oh yeah, Chiana does this, Chiana burns alive? I'm looking to the end and then I recorporealise and I'm like, geez, you shouldn't have upgraded to this nice apartment. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting, and that's like what Dargo and Joyce says. They go, well, you never see me die, so I could always come back. So you're pretty close.
Susie, from an audition point of view, are you auditioning for everything?
No, I auditioned for pretty much everything. The couple of sci-fi features I got asked to do, and that was really funny because I was in LA and I just moved to LA, and they said, Sci-Fi Channel contacted me and they say, we want you to be in a feature film. And I was like, made it. Everyone says this Hollywood thing's so hard. Whatever. And then I got to set and we were in St. Louis and it was so funny, like a great production, lots of fun, with some really good actors, but it was almost as good as Sharknado. And like some of the props you're picking up and it's meant to be a laser gun or something that you're meant to wear on your head and you're like, oh please don't make me wear this water bottle painted green on my head. Sci-fi thing. So, what else? What was that one? Showdown at Area 51, although they have changed the name like 10 times, so it might be something different. It was Judgment Day, but then I think someone else had that name.
No,
and I'm like, I'm in Judgment Day.
it's still Showdown.
Huh?
It's still Showdown at Area 51.
Oh, really?
Showdown.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
And then there's another one called Quantum Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Which is just as exciting. But it's still good because it was my first chance to work with a marathon and proper production. I also recorded some music up in Seattle, which was fun because I find now being an actor is not enough, so you've got to find other ways to try and make money as well. Another project I've been working on at home in Australia over the last year or two. My sister and I love animals. I've got a dog called MacGyver, Louis my cat. That's my husband's blame, okay? It's all him. He's the biggest MacGyver fan. It was either going to be our kid's name or the dog's name. We're getting a dog. You can talk to him, you guys would be besties.
His name's something like Angus.
Yeah, he hates his first name, right?
Yeah. So, what were we talking about, MacGyver? Oh, and so animals, so I just love it. Like when you're in the heat of the day, it's so intense working on sets. It's so nice to go back and be with the animals. They love you. They don't care if you've had a shower. They don't care if you've been amazing. They don't care as long as you give them treats. They don't care. They just love it. And I looked after a lot of my friends when they were coming and going because I know a lot of actors. So in my downtime, I was like, what's another good way to try and make some good cash? And my sister said, why don't you do like dog walking and pet minding and start a business like that because you just love it. I thought that's really cool. That would be a really rewarding way to become financially stable. So I started this company. It's called Mac and Me. I've got there's about 5 or 6 walkers and animal care people that I work with. 3 of them are my family. That's good because I find when you meet the families and they want to know that you know the people that are looking after the animals through and through. And I adore it. I've got a little cute website that I made myself. I'm really proud. Except a lot of the times, like icons would get stuck in just inappropriate places, and I'd be like, "How do you move it? I think I published it accidentally. Oh my God, everyone's seeing it!" And just had like 1 visit. Probably me. So yes, that's another little project I've been doing as well. I've kind of been looking at different. I love acting and I love telling stories, but I also after the business experience, I felt a little rattled by the politics and the intensity of it all. So I've been trying to find ways to feed my soul, do this again and get out of the ego and get back to what life is really about. I should be lying down on this couch. It's like therapy.
Have you ever wanted to get into like another side of the business, like directing or?
Yeah, totally. I produce and I've co-directed before, but I co-directed Nobody Knows, just this little short. I thought it's too hard when you're acting and directing. I think I need to focus on one or the other. Like on the day, I gave it all over to the director, but I'm such a, I was going to say, control freak, put it politely. And I'm like, oh, why are you doing it like that? Oh, but I just thought we discussed this. You know, he's like, I think you're meant to be acting right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good because then you appreciate every different side of the industry. And if you are just going to act, you appreciate the costume designer even more because you know what they have to go through, or the producer, or the director, or am I getting kicked out again?
You are.
Okay. Because I don't have my pass. Sorry. Thank you guys. Have a good day.